I can't believe I haven't made a video about this yet, but yes, I could talk about this all day. It's one of my favorite things. I feel like that sound. Did you just ask me about my theories? Starting with the basics, I am an autistic historical fiction author, and this is pretty much the autistic historical fiction book. Elizabeth Zott is that rare female character whose autism affects her but doesn't consume her, and even benefits her, who has a well fleshed out storyline with character arcs and even finds romance. Of course, I must shout out the original. My sister brought me this as part of a set that she got from Baker Street. Today, the savant detective is a bit of a tired trope, but since that trope was sort of invented here, I'm willing to give this a pass for being sort of a limited view of autism. And of course, it's also a recognizable and beloved character. I think because he wasn't bound by the limitations of the existing trope, because he was inventing it, and because he based Sherlock Holmes on a real person, Conan Doyle was better able to express the fullness of autism within a character than most other authors would be before autism was fully recognized. Before Superman came out in the 1940s and modern sci-fi was invented, this was the book that, likely, the special interest of many autistic people before we knew who we were, including one of the FMCs in my book, which is set in 1928. My next pick, Parable of the Sower, which is one of my all-time favorite books, is a bit more of a gray area. I don't think I could say for sure if Lauren was autistic or even autistic coded. However, what makes this so relatable for me is that she has hyper-empathy. A sort of sensationalized, fictionalized version where she can also feel the physical pain of people around her. It still really hits home for me because hyper-empathy is so rarely portrayed in any media. There are 3 other things about this book that make it one of my all-time favorites. The first is the relationship between Lauren, her disability, and her dad. Her father is super religious, and Lauren feels obligated to hide her disability from him, although in many cases he is willfully blinding himself to the existence of it. 2, Lauren's hyper-empathy puts her in a lot of situations that are very relatable for any person with an invisible disability. She has to choose when and where she will disclose it, realizing that it always puts her in a vulnerable position. And in many cases, she is forced to reveal it and doesn't get the choice. She will go into a lot of situations, setting things up for herself, knowing, okay, this is what's going to happen to me, this is how I'm going to react, to be prepared for it herself, and prepare the other people around her. And you see so little of that aspect of living with a disability, and it's really incredibly done here. Third, and this is the major spoiler, Lauren establishes a new religion that focuses on change. Change is the core of this new religion, and she has a lot of reflections on it that resonate very deeply with me as an autistic person who struggles with transitions. Next one's a little rough for me. I made a couple of TikToks about the uneasy relationship between changelings and autism in literature, and how that is so widely unacknowledged that many authors end up writing difficult or problematic things because of that. That being said, this book absolutely devastated me. Yes, Hawthorne is a changeling, a troll who gets swapped in for a human child, and just the fact that that trope exists is difficult as a historic device that was used to attack the humanity of autistic people. However, the way that Hawthorne navigates the human world, especially his relationship with his father, is very realistic and very relatable. I think this is something that Catherine Valente stumbled into, and she gave a decent treatment of it just because she's that good. Although it did make me put off the rest of the Fairyland series for about a year. We have a similar set of issues with autistic representation in robots, droids, and AI. It's intrinsically difficult to see your autistic representation as a non-human character. Autistic people are full humans. However, occasionally this has been done so well that the characters really stand out, and my picks for those are 3. Data from Star Trek, Moscap from the T-Monk series, Song for the Wild Built is the first book, and Murderbot. I think all 3 of these representations benefit from some sort of core emotion that does inject that element of humanity. For Data, it's his curiosity, for Moscap, it's his empathy, and for Murderbot, it's his sarcasm. Respect the pronouns. Although it's annoying to have the humanity and sentience of autistic coded characters questioned, at least in all 3 of these pieces of media, the answer is always, they are humans. Quick shout out to Abed from Community, whom I just love. He is occasionally the butt of the jokes throughout the series. Often he makes these witty observations that point out the ridiculousness of the group at large. And every time I watch the episode where he has a conversation with his dad about his mom, I will break down and cry. Finally, I am a Belle is autistic truther. I mean, not only does Homegirl have an extensive vocabulary and refuse to tone it down for her audience, she spent a whole song famously singing about how she wants adventure, she wants to get out there, and what she really meant was she wants to go to a library. And if that doesn't say ADHD, I don't know what does. And postscript? Of course, my favorite autism representation would be the 2 autistic characters that I wrote in the book that I am currently querying. Ian and Sam are the 2nd and 3rd oldest of 4 sisters. And I was very thoughtful in how I approached them. I wanted their autism to be portrayed as a whole. I wanted them to be complete characters regardless of their autism. And I didn't want to pick and choose pieces of autism just to suit the story. So you will see nonverbalism, you will see sensory issues, you will see hyperlexia and misunderstanding of social cues. If that sounds cool, you can read the first chapters for Jean and Sam at the link in my bio.